Hello, this is Bob Schroyer from Nancy's Knacks. In this sequence, I'd like to show you what a fairly sophisticated setup would consist of with our equipment. And we have, a motorized ball winder, we have an electronic yarn beater, and we also have a skein winder. This is a motorized skein winder, but I have it disengaged right now because we're going to use it as a swift. It also has on the top, and I'll show you this in a moment, our electronic rotation counter, which is a very sophisticated counting system for a skein winder. Here I'm winding at slow speed, yarn coming from the swift, going through the meter, and going on to the motorized ball winder. So you can see this setup, if you were using this, you would be able to measure your yarn and ball it, bringing off the swift, of course. Any swift would work with this setup, but of course we would prefer using our own swift. In this setup you can see now that the motor is going at a higher speed. The table I have it on, unfortunately, is a folding table, so I'm getting a little wobble there with the meter, but it's not a problem. The meter will still work to count the yarn. I've just run that skein through onto a ball. Now I've removed the ball. I'm just going to run the ball back through the meter now so you can see how the meter counts. You can see the yarns being pulled over the wheel, and we're counting yarns at this point. You can also count meters. You can also do weight. On the top of the skein winder we have a ERC, electronic rotation counter, which looks identical to the electronic yarn beater. It's the same housing, but the guts are completely different. If, for example, it doesn't have the small wheel that the EYM or the electronic yarn meter utilizes to measure the yarn. In the case of the electronic yarn meter, we're using that rotating wheel attached to an electronic encoder to actually measure the length of the yarn exactly. Okay? In the case of the electronic rotation counter, we're going to utilize the rotating arms to count the pulses to tell the meter exactly how many times it's gone around. The user will be able to enter the number of inches or centimeters into the to the unit, and they can determine that by either using our guides on the arms to indicate, if it's, for example, a 2-yard skein, it's going to be 72 inches. So they would know that from that. But if they have an odd-shaped unit, we also provide a long fiberglass tape measure, and they can run that around the arms to get a precise number. They would key that number into the meter, or the ERC, and then the computer knows exactly what each rotation is equivalent to. From that point onward, the ERC takes over and will do all the calculations. It'll either do a count up calculation where, let's say, it's keeping track of a certain number. You could also enter a number that you want to measure and then stop the unit. So you'd stop the motor that controls the skein winder, that is, when it hits that exact number. So it's going to function the same way as the electronic yarn meter in terms of how that functions or operates with the ball winder, but in this case it's going to work with the motorized skein winder. So this is a very, very sophisticated measuring device. This is the small counter that comes standard with the skein winder. It's a 4-digit display and gives you the number of rotations that the unit has turned. And you can see the ERC is a much larger unit, much more functionality in terms of the controls that you have over it. Both units receive a signal from this magnetic switch here. So every time the arm goes around, there's a magnet on one of these arms. It sends a pulse to the counter, and that's how we keep track of the rotations. There's no contact with that system. There's nothing slowing anything down. There's nothing to wear out, and it's a much better system than a mechanical counter system. This equipment represents the most sophisticated equipment for non-industrial users that you can get today. It's perfect for yarn shops, for other professionals, independent dyers, anyone who uses their equipment each and every day and needs something that will perform extremely well, hold up over the long run, and really be an investment in their toolkit. When you compare this equipment to the type of equipment that knitters typically purchase, umbrella swifts for example, which do a great job but certainly aren't designed to hold up in a heavy use environment. Meters, we sell more meters than anyone else, so we know what the weaknesses and strengths of the fishing meter type systems are. They're certainly not designed for heavy use or for commercial operations of any type, and that's why we designed the electronic yarn meter. And of course the ball winder, was designed in response to requests that we received from yarn shop owners who were sick and tired of replacing their plastic ball winders. Many of them used to replace up to 4 ball winders a year. With this design, they can bank on this being available and performing for a long, long time. So if you are a yarn shop owner or a professional or simply a discriminating fiber artist at home, please consider our equipment. Our equipment was designed specifically for commercial applications, but it's also useful for anyone who's extremely serious with their craft or their livelihood and needs something that will hold up really well. Plus, we also integrate all of our products together, so you can rest assured that if we design something else in this line, where it makes sense, we will make sure that they work together as a team, and in some cases they'll actually plug into one another. Please consider our equipment, and if you have any questions, please give us a call.